I want to dig into the SMG buffs and nerfs. With sidearms pretty much being a dominant force in that space, it's important to see where these are currently at. Outliers have been changed as far as zoom in the past, Shira, multi-mach, others. These things have been tweaked over the past year and a half, little things here and there, and of course, the changes to sidearms in relation to the SMG nerfs. These sidearms are more than holding their own. We had a recent blanket nerf to them, and in this video, I want to talk about winners and losers because of this. For SMGs, general, all of them, they reduce the damage fall-off end, and that's the distance at which the damage dealt by the weapon in hipfire reaches its lowest point. Enemy down sights extends that distance from 24 to 23 meters across the board. This means damage fall-off will begin at some point, but damage will decrease a bit faster. So essentially, it's a range nerf. When they get into fall-off, it reaches the fall-off floor faster. More on this as I talk about some of the SMGs. Precision's a big update for them. They increase the crit damage from 22.4 to 23.8, base body from 16 to 17. They reduce the zoom of Shira and friction fire from 16 to 15. The lightweights, they reduce the crit damage from 18.2 to 17.9, base body from 11 to 10.85. And I'm going to go over all this as I go over my list. So the first thing, the big winner out of all of this is Osteo Striga. To me, right now with all these changes, Osteo is a top 3 PvP SMG. Dead serious. If you're sleeping on Osteo, wake up. Osteo is a 600, so the buff that 600's got, it got that modifier to its crit and body. So at a 600, it's dealing 27 to the head and 19 to the body. The most body damage out of any SMG, the most crit damage out of any SMG. Its body damage does more than a lightweight's critical hit. Now, it does have some travel time. However, with this up damage, it's a melt machine, especially with things like a thruster titan. You can get the bullets in and just thruster to the side as they land. With the travel time, it means its worst position is actually in the mid-range. It does great up close because the bullets get there faster. But the biggest thing to cap it all off is the range. Osteo has all of the things that you need. The most crit, the most body damage. And with the range nerf, Osteo completely bypasses it. It is the rangiest SMG in the game currently. At a distance, remember, it tracks. So as long as you're holding on the target, the projectiles will land. You're taking completely out of the norm shots, and you can feel good about it. And combined, all of the weapons have a damage floor. So when it gets way out there, it starts at 27 crit. When it decays and fall off to 15, 16, 17, it's still doing good. Because Osteo's landing because it tracks. And since you're landing more precision hits, more hits in general, the Toxic Overload perk procs at times, spreading and adding poison. I was using it with Necrotic Grip Warlock. It was great. Poison everywhere on melees and finals. Peacekeeper Titan, the Peacekeeper Strafe, with the travel time, is near automatic. You're just strafing around the hitbox, the tracking lands, and it's over. Had multiple times where I spread poison to other players, makes the TTK easier on the next one. Again, best used in short to long range. It excels in those spaces. It outranges sidearms. It outranges SMGs. It gets into hand cannon range. No problem. Give it a spin. It's crazy good. Another winner, the Inyo D. I love this SMG. Inyo has pretty much now the cap as far as zoom. It's at 15 zoom. One of the best spots to be in. It's a 600. It got the buff. Dealing 23.8 to the head, 17 to the body. The damage is a little more than a full point on the crit and a full point on the body damage. It all extrapolates. So as a whole, the precision SMGs are now in play. Simple terms, 5 crits is 5 more damage than before. Same with the body shots. It all carries, so things like kill clip, all that damage goes up. It makes it easier to reach the TTK. When I reviewed this SMG, I wanted a particular role. I got it. You're seeing it. It's Encore multi-kill clip. This one has 49 stability, 56 range, so a body shot final gets to 79 stability. Headshots add plus 10 more range, stacking to ×3. MKC's chainable, and the stability and range buffs added on top. It's performing so good. It's performing past its intended range. If you want to try one of these, you can focus Hake weapons at the umbrals. It's going to drop for you at some point. And the highlight, again, the upped damage helps the range nerf. So when it starts seeing fall off, it's doing better. It has great zoom, and with the risers and fallers, the winners and losers of all these buffs and nerfs, Inyo D got better. Winner number 3, Shira's Wrath, and they tried to bring it down again. But with how range is now, with how sidearms are now, even though the value of zoom is now at its lowest point at 15, which is still on the high end, it's still great. This thing is still performing awesomely. So even though it got the zoom nerf, it's also benefiting from a buff. The more crit, the more body damage. It has kill clip, it has other great perks. And the reason it's performing so great is the perk set and those base stats. Wrath has always been a stat monster. It translates from paper to game. Stability range AA, the feel, it deals well in its range and outside of its range. As a 600, I use all SMG types, and when I use something like friction fire, every waking moment, once those got to a certain point in their fall off, the The combination of accuracy, aim assist, and stability, they lost friction, they lost magnetism, they did not duel well. Right at the point of fall off and a little bit into fall off. Now Wrath, still excelling, still beaming people. It's a big difference. It's out of the loot pool, but it's always been special. The rules you've been seeing, the one with kill clip is 100 range with heating up kill clip. There's perpetual motion, tap the trigger. That one has 69 range, 76 stability, and then killing when elemental capacitor. That one's 69 range, 71 stability. Shire is still that dude. It's still awesome. And what I want to stress in today's video, I'm going to say it again in the losers section. The SMGs are sharing some space now. The changes, nerfs, buffs, it's all calculated. Auto rifles can breathe a little bit better, and they got a stability buff. Watch my previous video. They're feeling pretty good. Sidearms are feasting. So with the SMG, it's important to hit range and duel a little bit outside of its range. It's important to have that accuracy there. And the ones talked about do that. They excel. Shira, Osteo, Inyo, all doing well. Range is critical as far as accuracy and drop-off. And the question that I'm now asking, and when I made this video, the premise, if and when there's something like a Dring on the other end of my gunfight, can it do it comfortably in range and outside of range? Because these sidearms are dueling very comfortably outside of their range. So that's the test, especially on the fringe drop-off. All of these do it well, and that brings us to the next two winners, grouped together, the Exotic Brothers, Huckleberry and Terabah. The theme, zoom. They can do well at range. A while back, Huckleberry got its zoom changed to 15. Great spot. It's got the good rampage. Has Ride the Bull. It still excels. It has all the qualities that you want and need out of an SMG currently. Same goes for Terabah. Terabah even more. In-game at 16 zoom, the very high end. Shots are more sticky. It's more stable. Because it has more zoom, it's compensating that into it. And of course, Ravenous Beast. Both are monsters. Both hold their own. Both dual sidearms and SMGs extremely well. And what's crazy about the sidearms, the power has always been there. Their stopping power, I should say. But Bungie adding the 30% fall off aim assist help set them right over the edge. And honestly, if Bungie were to have that 10-50% AA help past fall off, they would still be great. Just not dueling hand cannons as well anymore. Now, it's worth bringing up 750s. They're in a good spot. They're not on the list, but they're going to be great. Borrowed time. They have the range. They can do well a little outside of their effective range. They're still good. But now on to the losers of all of these buffs. And I want to be clear, these are still rock solid, very usable. And in the gameplay, I'm going to be ripping people apart. But they're about one nerf away from fading really hard. The lightweights. Multi-Mach got hit a while back with its zoom. 15's still good if you have that long zoom scope. But here's why they're on the losers list and why it's important. With sidearms being very dominant in the space, SMGs got that overall range nerf. And that nerf seems so small, but with how they did it, quote, when they get into fall off, they hit the fall off floor faster. So as the number gets into fall off, the damage gets a lot lower quicker. They nerfed the overall damage for lightweights. The crit went from 18.2 to 17.9, body 11 to 10.85. That seems so small, but again, it's calculated. With everything collectively, it makes a huge difference. In range, they are fine. They rip. And in the grand scheme, yes, you should be in range in your duels. But as we know, duels are on an engagement to engagement basis. Anything can happen. Sometimes you're right outside of range. You feel like that you're in range. It's live gameplay. The sidearms are mapping. The ARs are finding a place. The lightweights, the damage nerfed, the fall off gets there faster. So this is a rangefinder killing wind funnel web. Since that crit and body damage was nerfed, when they hit fall off, it is bad. When you're in range, hitting the 18s and 11s in game, they're doing their thing. But look right here. This looks like a very reasonable distance. I think that we would agree on that. Osteo would duel here. Terabah, Inyo, Huckleberry, all the ones talked about, they would be good. But right here, for the lightweight, my crit's at 14, the body's at 9. A little bit further, the body would go to 8, 7. Also have some big accuracy issues right here because I'm in fall off. That is the biggest change. These had no issues right here before in a duel. And I jumped around from 600s to the exotics to 750s. And again, with the 600s, the damage is helping fight that new steep fall-off floor. The 750s have good base range, they're doing okay, but the 900s are the only ones that felt like this. It's like the range nerf was meant for them. And I want to say again, in range, they're really good. But that outer part, no. Very different. I mean, the body shot damage lowered to 10.85. That's now right next to the other subfamily, the 900 adaptive. And remember, a while back, they decreased the body damage of those from 12 to 11.25. So a 900 lightweight is 10.85, 900 adaptive, 11.25. And that's going to wrap up to the second loser, the 900 adaptives. You already know how I feel about these. It's an archetype without a place. There is no point. These are hurt even harder than the 900 lightweights because what they had going for them was the body damage advantage. Well, they've always done less crit damage, and as you saw, the lightweights getting into fall off do extremely poor. the only card in their hand was body damage. Now, once you start hitting fall off, it gets very steep. And you would think that these would get some sort of a usage buff with the lightweight body damage going down, but it's just the opposite. These are actually getting worse. I would argue that they need to do 12 again to the body. The 900 lightweights, again, they're not trash or anything. It's just that with how they did the buffs and nerfs, they are worse off than they were before. They are. While other ones are actually a little bit better off than they were. In the theme, dueling at range. Specifically sidearm range. 600's getting more damage helped. The exotic SMGs are still in a great spot. The other 600s are doing okay. Auto rifles with their stability buff, they're playing well. You're seeing a lot more sidearms than SMGs currently, but there are some SMGs that more than hold their own. Go try them out. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about SMGs down below. Your thoughts in relation to how they're dueling with sidearms. What do you think? Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.